I hear the clock ticking with the lists always growing. Midnight oil still burns with the gears always shifting in a constant cycle of twitching. Forgetting to breathe. Is this really me? Slowing down, sitting still, gripping the loom. The hands begin falling in steady rhythm, following the lines, throwing the shuttle time after time, pressing close, but not too hard. Each passing oscillation, chords have crossed. Eyes take shape of the delicate weave of cloth. Thrumming threads of pattern still unclear. As the weave grows, the thoughts disappear. Myriad colors of abstract view. An enchanting array. Unable to decide, I close my eyes and let them pick my side. My own shade of light, a subtle blended hue, and some threads of gold between the blue. Grounded in rhythm, in the tension of doing. Hearts, minds, and spirits renew. Time becomes timeless as the end comes near. As the loom turns silent, peace be here.
Oh my gosh, do you see this? Oh my gosh, I want to be a kid today. Come on forward. You can sit right here. This is great. Wow, that was a trippy opening words. If I ever heard some, I was like mesmerized by some of that. After the service today, we're going to have so many fun things to do. But if you get a chance to talk with Chris, she would be happy to share more about this beautiful loom that she has today. What is a loom? What was that? What does that do? Anyone? Yeah. Make shirts. I hope we're getting shirts. Yeah, and it kind of weaves things together. So today, the whole theme we are going to be hitting over the head is weaving. And part of weaving, there's another part of it, which is sometimes when we make a mistake, or not even a mistake, just something gets a little tangled up. What do we have to do first? Untangle it, right? So here's this thing, which in the hymn we just sang has this word, which I didn't know, and I mispronounced the first week. I thought it was called a skein, but it's actually pronounced skein, which is a thing of yarn. Sometimes you might buy these, or any of you knit at home? Any of you knit over there, or crochet, or even here? Excellent. So these work really well, because one of the things they do is, do you want to just pull on this string right here, or pull it down? Oh, pull. It just comes right out. Perfect. That's, oh boy. All right, so you pause right there. So I decided we have one of two options here. We can kind of work with this one and make something, or I made my own little one today, and actually I had a little helper as well. This one. You want to pull on this one? Yeah, just give it a, oh no, just right here. Right here. Oh boy. This one's a little more tangled up. It doesn't have any knots. It's still one piece of string, but it's a little tangled. And so sometimes we have to go back to the beginning to untangle it. Have you ever untangled a piece of string or a toy or things? Yeah, right? So one of the things we're going to be doing today is trying to help our older folks untangle and reweave parts of our religious, spiritual, philosophical, ethical, you pick your journey, lives. And I wonder, I don't know if we'll have time to do this right now, but if as a group, before we leave today, someone could help me unravel this. I don't know if any of you know how to do that. Maybe you guys can start over here. Because it takes a little time to unravel things. Sometimes it's a little messy. You're doing great. You guys, there's no right or wrong way. But one of the things I hope that we do, and you're going to be doing a different kind of weaving, aren't you? With the Mayday pole a little bit later, going in and out and in and out. And that's a beautiful dance as well. I think that between sibling love, untangling this, and congregational work together, we can help one another kind of untangle parts of our past, parts of our complexity, our multitudes, and also kind of figure out what's the new thing we want to weave together. Okay, a shirt I think would be great. It'd be a nice shirt. What? A hat? It's going to get cold again someday. So yeah, I love all those ideas. So we're going to sing you out. You can take that with you as long as once the teacher takes it away for during the class time, you can have it afterwards. But hopefully we can untangle that. Maybe even cut it into some smaller strips, make some bracelets. We'll see what happens, okay? But sometimes this does feel a little bit neater, but sometimes it might not be exactly how each of us are woven up, how each of us are made. So while this might feel like the ideal or the only goal in life, sometimes it's not too bad to be a little more mixed up. And especially when you have a place like this where you can be a little more mixed up like us, right? All right, we're going to sing you off to have a great morning, and we can't wait to play all the great May Day celebration after service. Let's sing together.
When Nick brought up this idea of unraveling at our Sunday services meeting about a month ago, I was driving home and I couldn't stop singing in my head that Weezer song. So, if you're listening to pop music back in the 90s, you know the one I'm talking about, right? It's if you want to destroy my sweater, hold this thread as I walk away, as I walk away. Watch me unravel, I'll soon be naked. Lying on the floor, I've come undone. Yeah, I have unraveled many sweaters in my life, metaphorically, that is. We pull at a snag, at a loose thread, and watch as it unfurls. All of those carefully constructed knits and pearls popping apart. And we are left with ribbons of yarn. We no longer have a soft, fluffy garment covering us, and it can definitely feel as if we are naked. Looking down at this mess of threads at our feet, where do we end and this pile begins? We've come undone. For several decades of my life, alcohol was my cozy sweater, my security blanket. I pulled it over my head when life seemed too much, used it to protect myself from the pain of my own mistakes, covered up uncomfortable feelings in its numbing, heavy weight. When I tugged at the thread of my alcohol use, it began to become apparent how flimsy a garment it really was. And once I started to pull it apart, there was no stopping me. And yet, without this crutch, this longtime toxic friend, I felt naked, almost as if I had unraveled my whole identity. My raw, bare self was exposed. I knew I wasn't that drunk girl anymore, but then who was I? I had to rediscover myself. I had to learn how to feel my emotions again and face my fears without hiding. And I imagine that unraveling a religious past is a similar thing. Gone are the answers, yet the questions remain. bright and searing against our skin. We are naked. Although, while our sweaters are gone, we still have thread, raw material, and that's no small thing. 7 years later, and I don't need that suffocating protection of my security blanket anymore. I have learned to regulate and love myself without it. This unraveling gave me freedom and choice and empowerment. Maybe I pick up my thread and I weave a poncho or a sari or a cool swirly skirt. Maybe I stitch an altar cloth or tie a rope ladder or crochet 100 hats for the homeless.
Every week we set aside time to light candles, just like that. To light a candle for a joy or a sorrow that might be happening in our lives, in our personal life, in our family, in our community, our friends, our congregation, our school, our kids' lives, our family's extended life, in our nation, in our society, in our governments, in the world. We light candles to kind of honor that we bring both joy and sorrow into this community. A little bit of both each week, probably for each of us. And you can come forward and participate in different ways. You can stay where you are and just keep your heart open in a time of quiet meditation. You can come forward and light a candle and go back to your seat. You can also stay up front if you wish. And when everyone's had a chance to light, you can also speak yours aloud. So let's all now create a time where we can light our candles for joy and sorrow this morning.
Good morning. My name is Sky Nicholson. I wanted to share a joy. So I came up here before and spoke about how my mother-in-law, who lives in Phoenix, has been diagnosed with dementia, and my husband and I have been going through the process of obtaining POA and going through her home. We just went to Phoenix last weekend and I got to see her. And she and my husband have had a very challenged relationship for most of his life. And she has struggled a lot with anxiety and stress and depression. And I saw her last weekend and she was so happy. And it really warmed my heart. And then I got to go through her home and go through all these photographs and memorabilia and stuff to save things for my family and for my daughter and my son. And I got a chance to experience her life through these pictures and just gained a new appreciation, understanding, and compassion of this woman that I have had a challenged relationship with for so long. And it just really brought a lot of joy to my heart.
I lit a couple candles. One is for the violence and heartbreak that is being experienced in the Kashmir region of Pakistan and India, and the tension that's unfolding and has been unfolding between Muslims and Hindus and folks in that kind of geopolitical challenge. I hope we see the interfaith work that we do as not disconnected from that work. There are Indian and Pakistani Muslims and Hindus living in this area, living in Columbus, and that the work we do when we talk about interfaith is related to this kind of global, local work of trying to live together and weave together a better humanity. So I like that for those who are suffering in our community and around the world in the wake of that violence. And I also lit a candle for all the joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts this morning, not ready to be spoken. Let us sing.
Good morning.
So you might have noticed in the order of service, let's see, what did that minister put in here? Movement. What is this, gym class? Oh, so I don't know if some of you remember, I think it might have been my first year, 7.5, 8 years ago, when we did a little exercise where we would create this wider aisle and we would kind of move people back and forth on a spectrum of sorts, answering certain questions, whether we agree or disagree. Do any of you remember doing that? With some of you here, yes. Some newer folks are saying, what? I did not read the newsletter. I did not get it yet. Well, that was a really interesting piece because one of the things that I found really interesting is that sometimes people would be on the agree side and sometimes they'd be on the disagree side, and sometimes they were those contrarians who'd say, I'm right in the middle. And sometimes they'd be like, I'm 3/4, and then they made fun of us who didn't know fractions and things like that. But we could kind of move, and sometimes you would be with certain people next to you, and sometimes you might be one of the only people on the other side, and sometimes you would switch, and then you'd be in a big group of people and be with new people that you weren't with on the last question. And one of the cool things is you start looking around and you're saying, I don't even know if I've ever talked to Sandra about that or thing, or asked her about that, or this person or that, or I don't know if this is a place where we ask those questions. And hopefully it inspires us to ask questions more and get to know each other more and talk about not only the kind of religious or spiritual or moral, ethical present we want to live today, but to understand how that relates in the dynamic between our past and our future, neither of which no longer exist or not yet exist, but are at the same time real and motivate us in one way or another. So I have this set of statements and questions, and I hope that we will all be able to participate in one way or another. In a moment, we're going to have an opportunity to come into this middle section here. We're also going to have the opportunity to have those aisle rows available for anyone who wants to sit in between questions or at a break. If it's like, I'll do the first 5 and then I'm going to go sit. We also have cards that Sandra has, a way to agree and disagree with green and red as well. Again, we want this to be a community of all abilities where all of us can participate freely. So however you participate, know that your participation is valued here, all right? So Sandra will be our sort of accessibility support, and so she'll be able to help you out if you need it. But I'm going to invite you, if you wish, to start moving and standing into the center now. And I can also do some interviewing and stuff too, if someone is wanting to let us know where they're at and things like that. And you can come all the way down here, all the way up to the altar call. No, none of that. And so there's room, down here. So for the most part, we're going to make this up here agree and back there disagree. But I'll remind you as we go. Be mindful of the people around you as you're moving. This is not recess. This is we were all children one day, so there's not a winner. There's not a, okay, this is not a race. So here's the first statement. This is you saying it. I had positive spiritual experiences in my childhood religion, even if I no longer follow it. I had positive spiritual experiences in my childhood religion, even if I no longer follow it. This is agree, that's disagree. And if people can decide if they're somewhere on the spectrum, agree and disagree, all the way on the other side. Just a midpoint?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yep. All right. We're going to need a bigger boat or a bigger aisle or something. All right, so are people pretty much there? Sandra is drawing the DMZ right there. The agree, disagree. And again, if you're using cards, green, it would be agree, red. If you pull them both up, good. All right, look around, take note. And now we're going to go to the next one. Class, no. Here's the next statement. My religious upbringing caused me more harm than good. My religious upbringing caused me more harm than good. This is agree, that's disagree. So there's some movement happening. Are you trauma bonding? Great, good. Oh, All right, we're going to go on to the next one. Look around, notice who you're with. These might be some of your bonding people. Here's the next one. You might notice she's noticing some gender on this side as well. Here's the next one. I still feel anger or resentment towards aspects of my religious past. I still feel anger or resentment towards aspects of my religious past. Agree, disagree. All right. All right. A little more clumping, a little more. Here we go. All right. I have completely rejected the theology of my childhood, but some values remain. And I know that's a tricky two-parter. I have completely rejected the theology of my childhood. Agree to disagree. Strongly agree, strongly disagree. I have completely rejected the theology of my childhood, but some values remain. What'd you say?
Oh, I said I feel like we need gradients.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Yes, we need take out all the chairs.
Have a rainbow.
Okay. Here's the next one. My religious upbringing left me with lingering fear or shame around certain topics, potentially sexuality, doubt, etc. Yes, more on this side. No, more on this side. I'm going to start walking down here so you can't get more extreme. All right, good. My religious upbringing left me with lingering fear or shame around certain topics. Yes or no? Okay. You got some lingering? That's good. All right, here's the last one that's more explicitly about our past. Here we go. I grew up in a tradition that discouraged questioning. I grew up in a tradition that discouraged questioning. Agree or disagree, or somewhere on the spectrum. How much was questioning? Agree or disagree? Discouraged. Green is over here. Yep. Or agree is over here. I grew up in a tradition that discouraged questioning. Yeah, because you raised him. I know. You look at good. There you go. All right, look around, notice where you started, notice how you've moved this or not moved much during this section. So now we're looking a little bit about the movement that we may have had, as we continue to unravel and reweave. This next one is, I have adopted beliefs and practices that would have shocked my younger self. And you could say however young you want to define that as. I have adopted beliefs and practices that would have shocked my younger self. Okay. Here we go. Here's the next one. Here we go. I sometimes miss the certainty I once had in my faith. I sometimes miss the certainty I once had in my faith. Agree is over here, disagree is over there. I sometimes miss the certainty I once had in my faith. Oh. All right. Who needs certainty? With friends like these, who needs certainty? That's great. All right, look around, notice a lot of different folks. All right. I have experienced loneliness. I have experienced loneliness during my spiritual journey or my lifetime as I've been figuring this out. Agree, disagree. I have experienced loneliness during my spiritual journey. I have experienced loneliness during my spiritual journey. All right, look around. This is always a good one to look around on. Think about the folks near you, folks across the room from you, how we can support one another and address some of these lingering realities at times. Okay, I still feel tension between my current beliefs and what I was taught as a child. I still feel tension or some tension, you can create a gradient, between my current beliefs and what I was taught as a child. Internal tension, yes. Not air pressure. Headaches for you headache people. Agree, disagree. I still feel tension internally between my current beliefs and what I was taught as a child. Everyone surviving out there? Okay. I have explored multiple religious or philosophical traditions. I have explored multiple, and to whatever extent you would identify that as, I have explored multiple religious or philosophical traditions along my journey. Agree or disagree? All right, the herd. I mean, the wonderful people. Now, I want to invite you to look around a little bit because we've shifted a little bit. We have several sub questions that we just won't move all the way all around about, but we're going to do more of a hand raising piece for a couple of these. Whether some of these are parts of the traditions that you have studied or found particular interest in. So some of the Eastern traditions include influences like Buddhism. How many folks have felt like they've studied some or explored ideas of Buddhism? Whether you continue to practice or identify as such, you can put your hands down. Thank you. How about Hinduism? Right. Put your hands down. How about Taoism? Okay. Got the trifectas. And other forms of Eastern religion, spirituality. There's kind of a whole world of that. We get a little bit more into that in a little bit, but anything else that someone would want to say about Eastern that I didn't name and I left you out? Sufi, I got that a little lower. Sorry. Here we go, Chris. I want to explore, this is the next little subsection around more mystical or esoteric traditions such as Kabbalah. Any interest in that? Okay. Which is part of Judaism. Sufism. Gnosticism. It's kind of a little more eclectic for some. And other forms of kind of the more spiritual, New Age and or ancient or esoteric traditions. Oh yeah, let's do that. We'll throw that one in there right now. Good. All right, Baha'i. Okay, great. Here's a couple more. What about folks who have explored, read about engaged with part of the wide vision of indigenous spiritualities and traditions. What about pagan or earth-based spiritualities? What about folks who have been somewhat interested or have read about humanism or secular humanism or religious humanism or all those kinds of overlaying pieces? What about what about people who have found particular connection to the traditions of science? Any kinds of science, cosmic, nano, bio, whatever. Art. What about art? Do people find some spirit? Okay. The anti-art people in the back. No. And then broadly, things around philosophy, existentialism, stoicism, things like that. All right, let's get our bodies moving a little bit more. I find sacredness more in nature than in human connection. So this is kind of a trickier one. This is less agree or disagree. Nature is over here. Human connection is over there. Where do I find sacredness more in nature than human, or in nature versus human connection, okay? Well, you got it. Oh, there you go. We're trying to push it there, scientists. Yes. Yes. So if you're more, because some people aren't the most human-y people, right? They don't like the, right, that's right. So more on the nature side, that is the more than human, we could say more than human nature and human nature. I still struggle with guilt from my religious past. Agree, disagree. I still struggle with some level of guilt. Strongly agree, strongly disagree. Guilt. Agree. You feeling supported?
Yeah.
Good. That's good. That's good. I find, what did I just say? I struggle with guilt from my religious past. Agree, disagree. Look around, notice who's standing beside you, who you could talk to during coffee hour if you wish. Okay, here's an interesting one. I am more comfortable with mystery and paradox now than I used to be. I'm more comfortable with mystery and paradox than I used to be over here, or disagree. Agree, disagree. I am more comfortable with mystery and paradox than I used to be. All right. Look around, notice who's standing by you. Yes. Here's the next one. I see the divine, however you divine that. Oh, that's good. As more impersonal, like the universe or sacred mystery, than as a personal God. So I see the divine as more impersonal, like the universe or sacred mystery, than as a personal God. Agree, disagree. You and Bud Phillips with all your fractals. We got the fractal lights up here. All right. All right, look around. Look around, notice who's near you. Notice who's around you. Yes. Okay. Here's some questions that are a little more about looking forward. Okay. I want to pass on some form of spirituality to the next generation. I want to pass on some form of spirituality to the next generation. Agree on this side, disagree on the other side. I want to pass on some form of spirituality to the next generation. Agree, disagree. Okay, here we go. I believe, here we go. I believe it's possible to fully heal from religious trauma. I believe it's possible to fully heal from religious trauma. Agree on this side, disagree on that side. I believe it's possible to fully heal from religious trauma. It's a wide spectrum, how you identify that trauma. I believe it's possible to fully heal from religious trauma. Two more, okay? Everyone here? I worry about how my family or old community sees my beliefs now. I worry about how my family or old community sees my beliefs now. Strongly agree, strongly disagree, somewhere on the spectrum. I worry about how my family or old community sees my beliefs now. All right. All right, we got the last one. We got the last one, and then lunch will be coming up. So then recess, and that's great. Okay, here's the last one. I see my past religion or religions that I've been a part of, that have been a part of my journey, not excuse me. I see my past religion as a part of my journey, not just an obstacle. I see my past religion as a part of my journey, not just an obstacle. Agree, disagree. All right. I invite you to look around, look at our clumps. And I'm going to invite you to carefully go back to your seats now. And as you go back to your seats, I'm just going to invite so as we're back to our seats and heading back to our seats, Marty, I'd like to put up the slide. I have a few questions to guide us into a time of silence before we end our service. Time we don't have today to have a lot of discussion, but questions that might go with us into the world, and ones that might begin to percolate during coffee, during our May Day celebration, and really as we continue to explore this internal pluralism within this congregation, the diversity of lived experiences within our own congregation, let alone the religious differences and lived experience and values of different congregations on this campus, let alone in this community, let alone in this nation and in this world. So I invite you to just take about a minute of silence as you think about these questions. They're also in the order if you take that home, and to consider whether any of these bring something up for you as you reflect in the day or days to come. What have you learned about yourself or others from the service today? What threads from your religious past are you currently working to unravel? What type of future are you seeking to weave here and beyond UUCCI?